now KC need to try and transition that into destroying a neck.
Now they are feeling the pain that CL felt yesterday, where you're like, hey, we're winning. We're heading gold. We got soul. We're going to do it.
And now it can't be more heartbreaking, right? Like, that's what you need to avoid. Well, like, so that's what I'm saying. It certainly can, but they need to avoid that feeling as we get into Champ Select. Thanks to HyperX, and we're looking to see what changes are going to be made. Immediately, the Vayne ban is standing out to me here as KC just want to make sure the Busio isn't able to hover that pick.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting going into this next game. So much credit deserved, I think, by Yike for his bounce back in the second game compared to the first. Obviously, had a brutal game in the first game, and was put so far behind, never really got to play. In game two, was really doing well, but I feel like for KC, Busio was absolutely the star for me. No question, was finding so many plays. Even after the early game, the very early game went bad, where Caliste gets first blooded, and it was kind of, we could see it happening. I called it out a couple camps in advance. Usually, a lot of times when that kind of thing happens, and you give Peyz first blood, you are just cooked, right? But they found engages, they found fights, they battled back, they got soul, they did so many good things in that game. But T1 always manages to grab a victory from the jaws of defeat, and they did it once more. Varus coming through, which a lot of people felt like, hey, Varus might be out of the meta with some of the changes, with some of the nerfs. We did see Yon play it. He went Shiv into Rageblade. We could still potentially see a top lane, so there is always that chance of it getting flexed around, but I do think lethality Varus seems a lot worse these days. But
they do forego the Ryze first pick, which was what I was kind of thinking they were going to go with. Seeing the Anivia ban, the fact that Fearlessly, the Cassiopeia, has been removed. This is a champion that Faker has had a little bit of experience on, if you can cast your mind back a little bit there. And so that's a lot to sacrifice in order to get the Varus, as Oner is thinking about Jarvan, the next one on the tier list, you have to say, and that will be locked in.
Yeah, and it's always such an effective pick against Varus, because Varus has no dash. It can be really difficult. I wonder if kyeahoo would go towards his Azir. I know that is kind of like his ultimate comfort pick. That is the champion that he's kind of most associated with, but instead it will be the Annie. So Varus, Annie, Xin, some really strong picks here. Considering we are in game 3, especially, for Fearless. Giving them some engage, giving them some good front line, some follow-up. And I'm kind of curious to see if we're going to have matched roles here from T1, if they're going to grab a pick for Peyz, or if we're going to have some differences.
Yeah, they could grab something for Doran here and just round out their top side of the map, assuming the Varus is also rounding out the top side of the map for KC, and that is what they're going to do. The Yorik will be picked up, and Yorik has been an answer into these ranged top laners.
It's quite good.
Often used into the cannon. I know that you stated it so beautifully last time we cast together in First Stand, and that was, if you hit E, you win lane.
Yep, that is literally
I've been using it all year. I'm like, oh, this is the best. I know exactly how it works.
I'm a Yorik expert. I know every Yorik matchup. I
mean, I was a Yorik expert, and it was the same, but you could hit E because it was targeted when he first came out.
There you go. Yeah. How does a Varus versus Yorik match go? Well, if you hit E, you usually win. How about the Jace one? This one's a little bit different. You have to hit E or you're going to lose. So there are some differences.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
But definitely is a fun pick. People like it a lot in pro play, obviously, against the Jace, but that has already been played. They like it a lot against the Rumble. It is really strong versus some of these matchups. And I think it's also can be quite good against the Varus if they are thinking there's a potential of this being a Varus top. The thing I would be nervous about if I am going Yorik blind is a lot of these champions, with dashes can be quite difficult. Basically anything that can completely ignore your cage and can threaten all-ins can be really, really tough. There's a lot of kind of like more old school counters. People used to like Cho'Gath because Cho'Gath at rank 1 of the Maiden can basically one-shot the Maiden and get a feast stack off of it, which is not that fun. Renekton is another pro play answer that people love to it, but that is already gone, so maybe that's kind of making Doran feel a little bit more bold with the early pick.
I have this weird sneaking suspicion that Peyz and Keria are going to play Zerayumi again. I don't know why. I'm just feeling that that's what they're heading towards. The Rakan ban I really like. I think Annie Rakan is really powerful, especially when paired with the Varus there as well. Chains of Corruption to really layer that extra CC. But the Jhin is going to be taken away from Peyz to avoid that long-range option. And he is instead going to go a different route, as the Lucian will be locked away. Milio probably on the cards unless Busio decides he wants to pick that one away.
Yeah, I would definitely think that it is going to be Lucian Milio as the answer here. You know, clearly, KC were trying to take away some of the safe laning options. The Jhin, the Ziggs, both strong laners, but they can also play from very far away. It's a lot more difficult to get onto them for champions like the Annie, who are really looking for that engage. Lucian, you need space to be created for you if you're going to be dashing in there with an Annie having Tibbers available, right? You know, that is always very, very scary. Varus, Neeko, really common 2v2 that we had seen for quite a long time. Which does make me wonder, you know, if it is just going to be that lethality style, you know, even though that has received some nerfs.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. As soon as I see Neeko Varus, I'm like, it's lethality. But
especially if there's not really a tank on the other side, it doesn't really matter that much, you know. They have pretty good damage, especially if you are going to go towards the Gnar. Canna obviously so comfortable on it. I do think it is a pretty good matchup for the Yorik.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, this is a bit of a scary one, picking it into the Yorik that's already there. But we did see Canna, like, pick a Gnar into a theoretical losing matchup yesterday, and he obliterated it. So
it's just
should
comfort,
be fine.
right? Like, he just loves this champion. And I will say, once Gnar gets to early tier 2 boots, this champion gets so much move speed from Hyper, from you know, from obviously having the upgraded boots. And if you're even thinking you need more, you can go Fleet, and then you have all of these move speed increases to be able to actually dodge the morning mist.
Dodge E.
To dodge the E. And that is really, really big, because every time, even post 6, if you dodge the E, then you're actually just putting damage into the Maiden itself. And then it becomes this weird mini-game where Yorik is actually having to, like, pull back away from the wave to try to save the Maiden. And if the Maiden gets too low, you have to keep basing, which is really annoying. But if you ignore the Gnar and you don't throw your E, then he's just going to chip you down. So it is one of those matchups that I do think you can outplay from the Gnar side, but Doran's going to be pretty happy that this is the matchup he's seeing, I think.
Yeah, we'll see whether Doran can stand his ground. Can be difficult in the earlier stages, of course, but the Yorik, as we get later and later into the game, and the fact that T1 have been so good at locking down grub priority, I mean, getting the split push later on with 3 grubs and a Yorik is going to feel absolutely fantastic, and with T1's control of the map from mid to late game, I think that you'll be in a really difficult position if you are KC, but they've been really good, especially in the last game, at just staying the course and getting themselves into good spots. So here we are into game number 3. T1 with that match point. But KC, this could be the beginning of the reverse sweep.
Yeah, we'll see if they're going to be able to get that done. kyeahoo, you know, he is a former LCK player. You know, he has had some experience against Faker.
Yes.
You know, coming into today.
Do you want to know his experience against Faker?
He is 0-6 coming into today, so he is now 0-8. He has never won a game against Faker. And if they lose this game, he will then be 0-4 in series as well. So, you know, that is tough. But I will say, he has been playing quite well. I feel like he's been...
Oh, my goodness. This is just a lot of biffo. There is the barrier out of Caliste. Peyz still has his, but no heals remaining on either side.
Ooh.
This is getting explosive here in this bottom lane. That is a lot of Ardent Blaze value there from Peyz, wanting to race towards this level 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And Caliste is actually going Doran's Helm, which has been nerfed on this patch. And he's down a summoner, and he used both his potions first. So
and he's gone lethal tempo, so he is going for the on-hit.
Yeah, which is interesting. I mean, you need someone to kill the front line off eventually, I guess, but it can be hard against these kind of comps sometimes to actually stand and fire, you know, for long enough. But if you do just engage the initial, you know, kind of go from Oner and Doran, then you may just be fine. As both these bot lane trying to race for 2, but Peyz is going to get it first. Then
there's the dash in, finds the double tap onto Caliste. The flash has to be used, and the Ardent Blaze just to make sure the Busio is out of there as well. This is Peyz and Keria in vintage domination mode.
Yeah, that is beautiful form from them. And one of these little things that I love when you see smart plays like this. So from that spot, as soon as I saw that, you know, KC overstayed, you know T1 is going to get 2, and you know Caliste is going to have to flash. But it will be one of the T1 members that has to flash to force it. So Peyz holds his flash.
Oh, great wall up there from Canna as Doran finds a bit of health with the Q, but Mini Gnar comes in, the boomerang comes down, and he can't quite get the auto. Turret would have definitely killed him there, but still manages to get the flash out of the arc. Maybe some more aggression later from Canna will be able to lock this one down. And he does get the shove under the turret.
That was really, really close. I thought that was going to dissipate earlier, but back to the earlier point. Basically, Keria or Peyz, one of them needs the flash to force the flash from Caliste. So Keria does it early to force that flash and keep the flash available for Peyz. So it's just these little optimizations that are just so smart. If they both flash, Caliste is going to flash there anyway. It doesn't accomplish anything. Look at the buy for Caliste, by the way. It's a refillable, and that is just horrible. It is a bit of a horror. It has been a tough day in the 2v2 for them in general. And Oner is now down here with no flash on Varus.
Yeah, Yike is here as well, though, going for a little bit of a defensive play. There's the flash flag and drag, but the Xin Zhao is there to meet them. Caliste just getting taken down. It's going to be first blood over to Oner. Yike trying to make sure that they can at least get one back, but he is dead as well. Busio running for the hills, and it's a 2-for-1 for T1.
That's really well done by T1. I think some junglers would have made the mistake there of actually EQ flashing, and then they would lose out on the flag and drag damage.
Yeah.
It was actually critical to flash first in that situation. They needed the additional damage there from Oner, and he knew it. If the jungler is there and I EQ flash in, I will just die. So instead, he flash flag and drag, gets the full damage onto the Varus. Peyz is free hitting the whole time. Even though they focus down Oner, it's not a fight that KC can win from that spot. And it's just these little optimizations that you always love to watch when you're watching the best players in the world, right? They just have so much thought.
Oh dear, Busio is just dead. In the meantime, Peyz in a little bit of trouble, but obviously Faker is here, and he's looking to try and lock down the kill onto Caliste. He'll get there, 100 health on Peyz. That is just enough to keep him pushing this lane, and T1 close to a 2,000 gold lead at 4 minutes.
Yeah, that is really rough stuff here, especially, you know, when you are going Varus and Neeko, and you're thinking you're going to have a pretty strong 2v2, but things went so bad so early. So here's that earlier play. Like I said, he knows Caliste has no flash. It's not going to go for an EQ flash. Instead, flag drag, so he gets that full damage down onto Caliste, focusing him down. Even with Yike in position reading the play, it just didn't matter because Oner got his full damage out, kites well, and creates space for Peyz.
Yeah, the
and
fire
Peyz
kick as well from Keria was amazing to make sure that the Xin Zhao value is just not going to quite be there. As we have a look at this play as well, as Busio just taking too much.
Yeah, Busio is scrapping too hard there, absolutely. And as soon as the Tangle Barbs misses, as soon as that root misses, well, now you have nothing, right? And Peyz just dashes right past that E and gets right in on him. You can see definitely not looking too happy is Caliste, as they are just getting blasted right now. And Yike is going to come down and try to help them out, but he is spotted. Oner is still in the area.
Yeah.
And this bot lane cannot breathe.
Yeah, clears the ward, but now you've got the Jarvan moving down. They know exactly where Yike is. He knows that he's seen, as Doran taking a lot of damage here as well. There's the Ghoulie wall down, and Canna should be able to get this solo kill, but the Q comes in, finds the boulder, and will be able to get rid of the Yorik. In the meantime, Faker very close to death as well, but that solo kill from Canna might be a bit of hope back for KC.
Yeah,
As
no
What
kidding.
is happening here? Okay, that's a bit of extra money, as Tibbers did a fair bit of work there to Faker.
I kind of want to see the top lane again because look how many minions are there. That was like a triple stacked wave.
Yeah.
That he just died on. That is
And
brutal.
there's no cannon to soak this either, so he's going to lose so many of these.
He legit lost almost a full like 2 waves at least, I think, on that play. So it's not just a solo kill. The first death is often not as big of a deal in top lane, but when you die with no TP and the wave is at your tower, that can be game ruining because look at the experience difference.
Yeah.
It's a full level off of that. That is not a fake 1 level lead. That is a full level that Canna has. Canna's going to have more minions coming back towards him. And so now, Doran, you can get into that tough spot where it's like, as Yorik, if you don't win sides, you very quickly get to, what do I do in this game? Like, what is my point?
And Gnar is very good in side lanes, but also a fantastic team fighter as well. We know that Doran can make things work in team fights on a lot of champions. His team fight Olaf, for example, some of the best that we've ever seen. Yorik is a difficult one to make work, but if there's anyone that can do it, it's probably Doran. But hey, if you're watching MSI, you might as well get rewarded for it. Azale, head over to lolesports.com after you've finished work, log in with your Riot ID, and watch live for a chance to earn MSI 2026 drops. And Isaac, you can do that. Maybe just put your phone over to the side or something like that. You're not allowed to do it while you're working. And I'm watching, okay? You haven't actually reached for it, though, so I don't know why I'm being mean. Let's have a look at this little fight towards the top side, though, as the Gnar back is beautiful onto Doran. He does have some ghoulies here, but he is just going to be dropped down, and that is a beautiful play from KC. I think playing towards your winning lane is a great way out of this initial slump that they have had. And that is certainly going to be working out for them, as Keria trying to be annoying here in this bottom lane, but they do manage to protect the back from the Varus.
Yep, that is well done, as Tibbers is going to be dropped again. kyeahoo just kind of doing this on repeat, you know, trying to use it just to chunk him out. I will say, you know, small win for Doran is that at least he didn't have the Maiden out, so you don't lose a Maiden. It actually sucks so much when you die early on in the game and you lose that Maiden. So now he did summon it up. He's going to try to reset that wave because he needs to get it in to crash. And he will be able to do that because he has that power of the Maiden. You can see him backing up now to try to preserve its health. As Oner is up here on that top side, but kyeahoo doing a good job with the bear, scouting him out.
Yeah, or with the Annie, because of obviously it's reverse Annie, so that is Annie that Tibbers is going to be dropping as Peyz in a really uncomfortable position, but Relentless Pursuit is going to be used against its namesake and gets him out of there. Wind becomes lightning, Keria taking a little bit of damage there, but KC on the front foot once again. And I really like this. I feel like KC have just not been perturbed by the difficult early game towards the bottom side and have just got back on that front foot, playing around their spikes as best they can. And now Peyz could be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, he could. We'll see. Keria is around and is level 6, so it would be tough to knock him down, with all the summoners available and the Breath of Life. You would have to be really on point with your engage, so it's a risky play to go for KC, and they do know it, so they will play back for now. Doran obviously in a really tough spot. If you're a Doran, your job is get farm, protect the tower, don't die.
Yep.
And that is it. You're no longer playing for trades. You're no longer playing for anything in the 1v1. Just get in the backpack. Let the teammates who have that lead get the job done.
I feel like Doran throughout his career has been very good at that. Very good at the get in the backpack.
Goes right up in there.
Oh, he does. He fits real nicely as Busio taking a lot of damage. Wind becomes lightning, going to misses. There's the culling from Peyz. He's spacing beautifully as Busio taking a lot of damage himself, as that's a Relentless Pursuit in from Peyz at the result of that play. And Keria throws down the ulti. He was holding onto that one, but he still takes so much from the piercing arrow.
Oner's here.
In the meantime, exactly right. If you start that fight, you're going to have to make sure you finish it quickly, otherwise T1 will rotate over. But Oner is going to be taking a lot of damage here. There's a Cataclysm. He finds a flag and drag towards Caliste, but he has a brilliant barrier to keep him alive. But T1 also absolutely fine. kyeahoo in this mid lane, doing a lot of damage to Faker and holding him in the lane. That is the main thing. As a teleport behind is looking to try and finish this one off. Yeah. Gets himself out of there as Yike just gets destroyed by Peyz. Gets over the wall, picks up the double and Canna. Can he protect this? 1 versus 3. His health bar is massive. We're looking at Faker going down potentially here in this mid lane, but T1, they get away.
That fire kick was looking pretty ultra mega to me. He knocks him back and
also
wastes all
denies
his
the
time.
back with the next one as kyeahoo finds a solo volo onto Faker and doesn't take the turret shot. I think he thought he was dead, but just barely gets out of turret range and stops that last shot from happening.
This is such a huge win for T1 though. Look at Doran. He gets the push in the wave. He's going to get a plate. Canna TP's away, and that one ultra mega fire kick there from Keria just completely denies the play. Peyz flashing on top of Yike, getting inside of the ultimate there, bursting him down. God. Just knowing his limits so precisely is what is always so impressive about seeing his fighting.
Not to mention the fact that this is the Lucian, right? You have to be playing like this, right on the edge, in order to eke out the amount of damage to get value out of this champion. Peyz has been devastating on this pick before, and he is demonstrating that right here at MSI. Feels like one of his best tournaments that he has had. Everyone remembers that 28-kill Caliste game. This guy is pretty comfortable here as Busio looking for an angle towards Doran. He does get locked down with those tangle barbs. Is Canna looking for an angle, but Doran is going to be absolutely fine.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because Canna had a very optimistic Gnar that he threw the ult over onto Oner, but Oner was already out of there. And if he had his ult there, I think he do kill Doran. So unfortunately, won't be able to get it. And now Oner and Keria up here to protect him. And look at Peyz. No one is down there answering Peyz, so he is going to be able to grab that first tower. They're already up 2K here. And congratulations to Oner, who has now moved to 3rd all-time on that wins list here. And I'm assuming that is international as he passes kyeahoo, one of the all-time greats from the LPL.
And Faker, Keria, and Oner. So it is 3 players on T1 that have the most wins at international events, and then Cooper and Caps
turns out
after kyeahoo as well.
More world championships than like everyone else combined.
Yeah.
You do play some games and win some too.
And Faker's like basically 100 ahead, 98 ahead of Keria. The problem for Keria is that every time he gets a win, Faker does too. That gap is never closing.
Yeah.
It's like wanting to get older than your older brother. It just doesn't ever really work. As all right, Oner is going to be able to take down this Drake. That is going to be the second one locked in, and it's a Hextech Soul this game as well. A scary one for KC to be staring down the barrel of, but they are not going to react to it. They are just going to kill Doran again. That's going to be their plan, as Doran does find a bit of health back with that Q, and actually it's taking a while to kill him. Canna will be able to do it, but it does take a little bit of time. 3-0 here. Like, all of the eggs are in the Gnar basket.
They absolutely are. And it is a good basket to have. It is the ultimate comfort champ here for Canna. We'll see if he can get something done in this game. Busio just playing towards that lane, gets up towards the top side, does get them a kill, but even with the 1.4k gold lead that he has, they are so far behind. Caliste is just going to be useless this game. You know, down over 2,000 gold here at 13 minutes is really, really tough, but you know, you got to say, kyeahoo has been doing pretty darn well. You look back to last game and the advantages he was able to build. You know, this was his performance last game, 7-2-7, putting out a ton of damage. You know, was winning in that lane very slightly as well. And then this time coming back on the ante, he gets a solo kill onto Faker and does have that ever so tiny gold advantage, but in a position to maybe be that person to try to punish Peyz.
Well, this is a weird situation here, as Canna does take that very deep Hex Deck gate in order to get into the enemy jungle. That is going to buy space to try and kill Doran again, is what I'm seeing. kyeahoo moving on down here. There are a lot of plates up and available. Doran takes more than half of his health bar from a bear drop. But now T1 looking for a fight on the opposite side. The culling just thrown into Busio and Caliste, and Busio looks to be the target here, as Doran is dead once again. But is the cross-map play available for T1? And Oner says absolutely it is. Fire kick going to connect, and Caliste just needs another double tap as the Light Slinger will be able to take down the Varus. So 1-for-1 across the map here as Doran moves to 0-4. But that's a 3-0 for Peyz.
Yeah, and Peyz is the one getting all the gold. He is so strong. They're going to look for Oner, though.
Yeah, and they will find him. Oner doesn't have a lot of friends in the area, and he knows that he's dead. So a weird position for the Jarvan to be.
It is, but he just wasn't expecting them all to stay around. And the reason they are staying around is, guess what? No one is answering top, no one is answering mid. So not that bad. Because KC committed everyone to overstay on bot side to try to get that. But that does mean Faker kills the tower up in top lane, Peyz gets plates and denies some minions in mid lane. So even though they get the kill, it doesn't actually change the gold lead really at all.
And now kyeahoo might just be dead as Peyz forces the flash. My goodness, the damage out of this 2-item Lucian is absurd. Quick Blade's done. And yeah, it's only going to get worse from here as he's going to be building towards his Infinity Edge.
And Doran, unironically, I mean, this is working, going at Doran over and over and over, but he's not really worth any gold anymore. And you can see in the Coinbase gold grind, Peyz very, very far ahead now, nearly 3,000 gold ahead of Caliste, who is down 40 CS, down a bunch of kills, down a bunch of plates, down in everything. And it's going to be the strong members on KC's job to try to deal with Peyz. But that is always so hard when there's an enchanter behind a giga-fed AD carry, right? Because Keria is going to be there to protect him with the Breath of Life. He has the barrier, he has the cleanse, and he has Doran and Oner and Faker who are there to basically just keep him safe.
Yeah, and Yike taking so much damage. He flashes in to get the knock-up onto Peyz, but he gets himself out. He's got the ulti from Keria to keep him alive as Yike goes in, but Doran just being that front line. The knock comes back though as Canna turns up. Faker on the flank angle is able to take down the jungler as the Pop Blossom only picks up Oner, and Oner doesn't really care about that. The dash forward from Peyz, and they will be able to lock down that kill. On the opposite side though, I mean, it is a 2-for-2 trade between the two squads. KC going to be okay with it, I think.
Yeah, honestly, I would say they should be really happy with that. The fact that you got flash as well off of Peyz, yeah, Busio dies, but being able to get flash off of Peyz is worth his life. That is worth its weight in gold. As Yike goes in here, Peyz and Keria kind of flexing on him, but kyeahoo was there very early, so he's able to push them back. Keria has to flash out. Doran gets rooted up by that Chains of Corruption, and in comes Canna, so they're able to burst him down, finish him off, and look at Busio on the side. I don't think Peyz really recognized that he was coming until very late, had to flash after that Proto Belt play from Busio. They barely kill Faker before he Realm Warps out on the side, but even though it's an even trade of kills, even though Peyz is still way ahead, you now have a window in to potentially actually kill Peyz because he has no barrier, no flash. You have flash on Canna, and that is kind of who you are looking at now.
Yeah.
You put all of this effort into getting Canna ahead. He has 6 kills.
He's up massive.
2.6k. If he can find a flash ult.
Oh, good flash from Oner. And that is the ult that you were talking about. Could have been enough to take down Oner, and that would have been really good to locking down this dragon. But still, KC with the inside track. And Doran, he's got teleport, but he is just moving towards that top side, getting the Maiden to work on the inner turret potentially. And it looks like T1 will sacrifice this Drake. And the power of the double dragon for T1 is very, very strong because now they can use it to get control of this mid lane. They've also got the Yorik moving towards the top side. So a Drake sacrifice for so much more on T1's side.
We're basically 2 full towers is what they're going to get here. And they're actually looking for a charge on the 3rd one as well. Peyz is going to drive this in, which always makes me a little bit nervous, but the engaged numbers aren't around.
Oh, they're not able to actually get the charge, and Peyz is in a very uncomfortable position, but he's able to dash his way out. Close to a 4,000 gold lead for just the Lucian.
Yeah, that is ridiculous, as we're going to see Doran getting stopped, and maybe Doran dying, or at least having a flash.
Yeah, he is going to be able to flash out of the way. Goalie is going to go down, and so he is going to be able to get himself back. So still, I mean, getting a flash out of the arc going to be fantastic, but T1, 3.5k the gold advantage, and you're looking at the top of your screen, you're like 9-9, this game is very close, but at 18.5 minutes, 3.5k is no small lead.
Especially if you can concentrate it all on who I would say is the world's best team fighting AD carry. Right now. That's not a bad place to put all your gold.
And that's exactly where all of it and more is, as far as the lead is concerned. 3.6 is a big one. And I do want to also talk about how these compositions are going to meet up later on and how it works out for T1 in their favor, because the biggest problem for late game team fights, in my opinion, is Caliste, because he's going to outrange kind of everyone. The problem is, he is the one that's 0-3. He is the one that's massively in the hole, and all of the money is on Canna, who is just decidedly short range into a Ryze and a Lucian that are going to be doing so much damage later on from about the range that Gnar wants to be playing in.
And that's why, I mean, with Caliste completely out of the game, it is all about your engage tools, right? It is about Flash Tibbers. It is about Flash Mega Gnar. It is about Flash Pop Blossom. And it is about really coordinating on that where everyone goes in and you're hoping to one-shot Peyz at the very beginning of the fight. If you can do that, you can easily win a fight, but that is a very hard thing to do. T1 have the run of the map. They are going to be marking you, on all these angles. They're going to be warding everything out, and they're going to be playing around keeping Peyz safe here. So Peyz needs to play well, but we're expecting him to do it.
Well, Busio finds the pop, well, almost finds the Pop Blossom, and now the Realm Warp just to try and get themselves into the fight. That is a brilliant start for KC, though, as Oner is just dead immediately. Faker follows suit, and T1 bit off more than they could chew. The Flash Gnar, and down goes Peyz, massive shutdown, and of course that money goes to the now legendary Canna.
Yeah, that's a 1K going to Canna there, as they're going to go straight to the Baron, and they're going to get the Baron here for free. This is crazy. The Realm Warp there was suicidal from Faker.
It was.
They take the Realm Warp in, but kyeahoo has all his abilities. You're Realm Warping into the anti-stun. You still have to pay some respect to the damage that they can do. Yeah, you had killed someone, but it was just Busio. Everyone else had everything available there.
And it was
Faker
Yike
and Oner just going to die.
Yeah, and Yike with the Crescent Guard as well. They Realm Warp in, and then immediately they're just thrown around like ragdolls. And they get even further away, even more disconnected from Keria and Peyz. Let's have a look at it one more time as it started off so nicely for T1.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good play here. Busio just gets locked into the Cataclysm, tries to flash out late to try to get on Peyz, can't do it, and they're like, oh, we win. But Canna arrives, and they are Realm Warping into every ability. Chains of Corruption is up, Crescent Guard is up, Canna is there, Tibbers is available. Everything is there. You're not that tanky at this point. It's not as though you're going in and you're trying to like instantly Zonias and bait the play. They just didn't have the tools to do it. And then Canna comes over, spends that flash, kills off Peyz. T1 obviously still in a decent spot, but this game is even now.
Yeah,
and it was a massive lead.
And not to mention the fact that this Rebel Baron power play can be used to get themselves a second Hextech Dragon as well. And having a look here, this is KC on that comeback. T1 though, when the tempo vibes move against them, that is generally the happiest they become. As Faker, what is he doing there?
Well, he's just split pushing, and they're going to try to just trade here on the other side. Canna.
Yeah, Canna versus Peyz looks to be a bit of a 1v1 battle, but Keria is there to support. As now kyeahoo is going to find Faker as well. Canna is just going to be taken down though, and Peyz returns the favor and picks up the shutdown money himself. Faker is going to be able to get himself out of there, bring some minions with him, and he might even be able to eat some honey fruit.
Faker getting out safe there. But Canna is so strong. That was very scary for Peyz. They actually had to spend the barrier and the ult from Keria. Keria flashed. He realized, hey, this could actually go bad. One or two more autos come through, another hyperproc, and maybe Peyz does just get killed there by Canna, but T1 do pull it off, as they often do in these tight scenarios, and now it means they're going to get the Dragon off the back of this. They're going to move to Soul Point, and it is Hextech Soul, which is
that's a good one.
Just bad news if you are a KC fan.
Doesn't feel very good. The good news is that it's not actually Soul, because they were able to deny the last one with some good team fighting themselves. It's only 1,000 gold the lead, as Busio going to try and get in amongst it here, catching anyone trying to defend this top lane push that Caliste is on. No one here in at this particular moment, but Peyz once again very used to being the man with the most money on the Rift, and they certainly do. Faker with that global taunt, still there, as it has been for so many years. As Oner just presses Cataclysm, gets himself out of it. That is going to buy as much space as they can get to try and keep this inner turret alive.
That was actually pretty critical that Yike had the Krugs there, because he was able to just dash out of the Cataclysm to the Krugs. Had they not been there, I think the vision that Oner had is he Cataclysms in by the tower, Faker one-shots the minions, he takes aggro, has to flash out, has to do something.
Yeah.
But instead, able to get out of there, no problem.
I've seen this play before, as Peyz just goes into melee range with a mini Gnar, and he's happy to do so. Chases him down relentlessly, and it's Canna dead yet again.
And look at bot lane as well. Meanwhile, during all of this, Doran was just pushing.
Yeah,
he
the
took down the
0-5 Yorik having the best time of his life.
When you're 0-5 and you're down 3K on Yorik, you might not win a 1v1 against Gnar, but you know who you can win a 1v1 against? The tower.
Yeah, with minions. It's not really a 1v1, but he needs his friends, and he is going to be able to bring them. Faker is also doing the same thing towards the top side, and we were talking about this. 1-3-1 is definitely a possibility here for T1, and they are showing us that it absolutely is, as they move to 2,000 gold in the lead. 3.5 minutes until the Hextech Soul is available for them.
And this time, Peyz made it look easy killing off Canna because his culling was much better than the previous fight.
Yeah.
He was point blank, he got so much culling value, and culling just does ridiculous DPS. You know, at this stage in the game, when you have the IE and now he's working in towards that LDR, Canna will be paper. There's no one that can tank the culling whatsoever except Yike with Crescent Guard. Like, that is it. Anyone else is getting hit by that thing. You need the Crescent Guard, you need, Tibbers to be blocking, you need Busio's clones. Something must be blocking this culling, or you are going to just straight up die.
Or you can interrupt it, right? Interrupting it sounds like a pretty good idea as well, but there were no options there for Canna in mini-Gnar form in order to make that one work. So Peyz level 14 now on this Lucian, Infinity Edge in hand, and now just looking for even more damage as Armor Pen going to come in next.
Yeah, and I mean, Caliste at least does have 3 items, so that's something working for him. He is relevant. He's still way behind Peyz, but when you look at everyone else, 3 items is a real threat, right?
Yeah.
If he gets the hit, he will not be weak, as Doran does have to run for the hills. But Faker also, his row just popped, so he's almost 16, and he almost has the actualizer. And we already know that is scary times there. The Ryze can start to delete teams, when you hit that item spike. And then all of a sudden, you're in a position where, as KC, you must kill Peyz at the start of the fight to even have a chance. But if you full send every ultimate, every flash, every ability into Peyz to do it, well, Faker might just wipe you.
Yeah. And Faker, I mean, thankfully for KC as far as these team fights, Faker has decided that he wants to play A-Rat this game. He is just top lane. That's what he's doing.
All tower?
Yeah, all random, all towers, all top lane, is what I was kind of thinking. It's not really the version that I'm used to, but I do kind of like it. Faker has been playing for a long time, so he knows all of the versions. Peyz now sitting in the mid lane, and we'll be able to clear out that wave. The Baron going to be up in 17 seconds time. I believe T1 have that one on the mind, as they are T1. They always think about Baron. That is the thing. And Yike actually is going to get dashed on by Peyz. The Crescent Guard comes in as they look to try and use Oner to peel, and down he will go to the GA. Yahoo is just dead in an instant. You were mentioning the DPS on the culling, and my God, T1 are just going to mow them down. The Narn to 4 from the grave. That one was a little bit too late for Canna. Speaking of too late, it's too late for KC in this series. I think this one's over.
It's absolutely over. A 5-0 clean ace, 27 minutes in. T1, make no mistake about it.
10-1-7 on Peyz. This Lucian absolutely dominating in this game number 3, and T1 will move forward here in the play-ins and remain undefeated.